Hello, my name is Fiona and today I'm going to show you how to make this little purse for a child. Very adaptable pattern, so your starter chain, just however long you make it, determines how wide the purse is going to be. So you don't need to make this size. I'm showing you how to make this size, but you could make yours longer and then make it wider, and then if you make it longer then it just folds in half and is sewn up each edge, so you could quite easily adjust it and adjust the slant of the flap. Anywho, teaching you how to make this small size, you just need a little button, or I used a bead to close mine, and not an awful lot of yarn for this size. I used a multicoloured yarn, so it kind of self-striped. Instead of me having to choose different colours of yarn and tie it in, it created these stripes by itself, just as the multicolour came through. So I shall show you how this is done. Right, we are going to start our bag in the normal way, tying a slip knot, but if we measure out and leave like a 10-inch tail, which is about 25 centimetres, that will sew up one side of our bag for us. So I'll just move it on a bit. If we do your slip knot here, but having left quite a long tail, then that's going to sew up the edge of our bag for us. So we'll do that to make our work nice and tidy. So we first of all chain 23. So just yarn over your hook from behind and pull through. And that's just our chain. So 23 of those, making them as even as you can, as always. Okay, so when you've got your 23, it should look like that, not terribly long length. I didn't say, I'm using this multicoloured double knit wool, and it's with a 4mm hook size. We are going to double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So you insert your hook just into the, will I do the top strand? I'll try and catch both strands. So each of the chains has 3 strands. You should be able to count your chains by these V's, and on the back of each V there is the 3rd strand. So if you put your hook under, in between the 2 top strands and the bottom one, so you're catching the 2 top strands, then it just makes for tidier work, because you're getting most of the stitch. You're catching up most of the stitch, and there'll only be the bottom strand then. So, and sometimes I only take part, like maybe the top part of the V, but for this I just want it to look nice and tidy. So I'm going in between the 2 V's on the top and then the bottom strand below. But it doesn't matter, just the only thing is to be sure whatever strand you take, or 2 strands you take, do it continuously. So if you decide to just go for the back loop of each of your V's, that's fine, but just make sure each of your stitches go into the back loop. And so I'm taking the top 2 strands, so I'm going to try and make sure all my stitches are the same. It probably won't be very noticeable, but just if you're being fussy, that'll make it nice and tidy. Okay, so we just work right the way back across our chain, putting 1 double crochet into each chain. So you insert your hook, you yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over and take both loops off, and that's our double crochet. So just work that back along the chain. Okay, so when we get to the end of the row we chain one and we turn. Work's kind of curling up, so just make sure you hold it nice and straight so you don't stitch into the wrong place and twist it, and we just work back along the row in double crochet again. And actually we keep doing this double crochet 22 stitches back and forth along the row with just one chain space to take us up to the next row in between. We do that for 44 rows. So yeah, this'll take a while, but this is row 2, so go right up to row 44. But it's nice and easy because it's just like nice double crochets, nice easy to work along with. Sorry, I should say actually I'm chaining one again to go up to row 3, but you might want to mark the ends of your rows with stitch markers, just to make sure that it's clear. So we chain one and then we go back into the stitch beside that for our first double crochet. But if we just, so I'm going to take that out. If I just mark that first double crochet with a stitch marker, then we'll be sure when we come back to it, and we won't accidentally go down the side or do anything else. Also, you can just count your 22 stitches, and we had chained 23 originally and then we'd gone into the second stitch, so that's given us 22 stitches all the way across. So that's another way to check you're going back and forth. And as I say, just careful that my work anyway is curling, so you don't want to start going into the wrong side of the curl and twisting your work. So just make sure you can try and hold it quite straight, or at least keep checking as you work along it. And then when you get to the other end, you can put another stitch marker in there, so that just in case it's ever hard to see, or you accidentally put in a row too many, it'll save you making a mistake. You have to pull out and correct, because if you put in too many or you miss too few, like if you put in too many, your bag, instead of going straight, will begin to go out, and then if you put in too few, if you skip some, you'll begin to form a triangle. So you want to make sure that you're doing the same 22 rows each time, so your bag increases uniformly and in a straight line. So yeah, we just keep going along the top with double crochet